Well, negligence, it's a word we hear often on law drama shows. But what exactly does negligence mean, and how might we be affected? Richard Griffin of the Griffin Law Firm is here now to talk about things like nursing home abuse, dog bites, negligent security claims, like apartments where things happen, I guess.
Right.
This is an interesting subject.
I
guess let's start with what is negligence?
Okay, well, negligence, usually what we talk about are negligent driving, which causes a personal injury or a wrongful death. But today I want to talk about some personal injuries that you mentioned, claims that arise from other situations. So in each setting, there's going to be a negligent act where someone doesn't live up to their obligations of being safe or preventing a harm to someone else. And in the first case, the nursing home abuse or neglect, that is a really sad one, because we all have loved ones that are getting older and we want them to be safe and happy and well cared for. And unfortunately, that's not always the case. There are situations where people, the staff may be not trained properly. Abuse would be, and here's a graphic, abuse would be either mental or physical. And there's studies that show if there's a mental or physical abuse in a nursing home setting, that increases the risk of death by 300%.
Oh dear.
Lack of assistance could be trying to help them move around if they are unable to get to the bathroom or other places. Or hygiene, keeping them from having bed sores, those kinds of things. Treatment error can usually involve medications that they prescribe incorrectly or they don't prescribe at all, if they're not getting the proper food and those kinds of things. So personal injury and wrongful death are often the results of that kind of abuse and neglect.
And if you have a person there, or you are a person, you have rights and recourse in the event of this happening.
You do, and you really, you've got to reach out and call us so we can talk about the situation, because every case is different. Sometimes bad things occur and there isn't a claim, but if you have something bad that's happened to a loved one, then it's good to talk about and investigate and make sure that you're protecting them.
Another one we are hearing about so much in the news now is these dog bites.
Right. And dogs, we all love dogs. I've got dogs, but we do have an obligation when you own a dog to make sure that other people are safe. And some breeds are known for being more aggressive than others, and some dogs may have a history of biting. If you own a dog, you should protect those around you, and a lot of times people don't have fences, or they don't have a leash, or they have the dog in a situation where it could be dangerous. This slide shows you that in Georgia, that prior bites, if there's a history of biting, then there's going to be a greater liability there. A personal injury or wrongful death case arises when someone's hurt because of a dog bite that is due to negligence or failure to maintain control, not having a fence or not having the dog properly leashed. There are ordinances that require those things, and if you're in violation of those, even on a first bite, if there's no history of biting, we've had situations where we've gotten great recoveries for our clients, and it's terribly sad. Nobody wants to have that situation happen, and we've had a case where I guess an 8-year-old or 10-year-old ended up having an ear bitten off, where there were 3 or 4 surgeries to reconstruct that. There was permanent scarring and disfigurement. So those can be very big cases and very sad cases.
And that's one of the cases where there could be surgeries or treatment in the future that we might not think of, but you would.
Right, and personal injury cases that arise from that are going to take care of. The value is going to be the past medical, the future medical, the pain and suffering. If there's lost wages, those are all part of that dog bite type case where an owner wasn't careful and put other people at risk.
And lastly, the apartment or the security negligence claims.
Yes.
This is interesting.
It is, and everyone is, certainly crime as it increases, especially violent crime in certain areas, that puts everyone at notice, and that includes apartment complexes. And so if someone is living in an area that is known for a high risk, a crime area, it's typically an apartment complex, could be a shopping center, a parking garage, that kind of thing. But high crime and a terrible violent crime occurs, a rape, an assault, a murder, and you have to have a negligent act. It has to be that perhaps they didn't have the proper lighting, or maybe they had security gates or security guards and they quit having those. Maybe the gate broke and they leave it open, and so it prevents the residents and the guests from having a safe place to live or to shop.
And I would bet those cases would be ones where we really do need to call you, because we're not quite sure what our rights are when we're on someone else's property, correct?
That's absolutely the case. In fact, all of these, and any kind of situation where you get hurt or injured, 877 Pain Law is my number, and we are here to help figure out for you whether you have a case or not. Because sometimes you're going to have a case, sometimes you aren't. Knowing what your rights are, knowing what the case is worth, and knowing how hiring us could be the absolute solution to get you that great recovery that you're entitled to and that you need to kind of put the pieces of your life back
Entitled
together.
to, I think that's the key word.
Right.
Thank you, Richard, so
Thank
much.
you.
Don't forget to get the help that you need. Call the Griffin Law Firm. The number is 877-PAIN-LAW. You can also log on to 877painlaw.com.